Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Enzo Pizzimenti. I love Italian language, Italian music, and bel canto. This initiative is to make sure that people in the next generation or generations will understand what bel canto really was or is, what Italian language is, and the influence of the Italian language in music, in opera. And that without the knowledge of Italian language, it's impossible to sing bel canto. At least you had to memorize in Italian if you sing Italian, and the opera was Italian. Of course, there are other variations of opera. There's a German opera, a French opera, but Italian, Spanish, operetta, the same rule is for everything, because it's a matter of breathing, right? Singing under breath, and the pronunciation of the vowels. A, E, I, O, U. Because all the Italian singing is based on those 5 vowels. A, E, I, O, U. The words ending with those vowels, if you can connect the singing with that, supported by a nice breath, under breath, from the diaphragm, the singing is produced. And then from there you can make it sweeter, stronger, whatever. But without this knowledge, it's impossible to sing well. The problem is that if you don't sing well, the voice will go down the drain. You will be ruined. You will develop polyps, you will develop most of all the larynx, the voice, it gets damaged, the larynx and the vocal cords. So it's important to sing well. And with the proper way of doing it, you can sing forever. Learning Italian is crucial. You don't have to know Italian very well, but the basic Italian, you have to understand the alphabet and the words, sentences, what they mean, because it's the basic of bel canto. So sarsuela, it's the same thing. If you know those basic principles, you sing sarsuela the same way, with the same method. You can sing anything with that. In fact, the greatest popular singers, Frank Sinatra, Celine Dion, to mention a few, they took voice lessons from professional vocal coaches. So it's important to have a guide in this. It's a natural voice, but it needs to be guided. Otherwise, the enthusiasm can ruin the voice. It has to be done the proper way, because the vibration itself is natural. There's nothing sacred about the vibration. It happens if it's placed on the breath. But if you don't know what's on the breath, then it's impossible to sing well. Years ago, with a group of professional friends, we formed the Italian Language Foundation in New York. The idea was Matilde Cuomo, was the Governor Cuomo's wife, and the daughter Margaret. Margaret Cuomo is very active and president of the Italian Language Foundation. I'm a member of the Board of Governors. We are a few people that so far we were able to establish the teaching of the language in the schools in the United States. My dear friend Luis Tallarini, who was chairman of the Columbus Foundation, got me into that, and I'm proud to be there, as well as I'm proud to be with the Columbus Foundation in New York. A lot of things are done through this, through the Columbus Foundation for the Italian culture. But the Italian Language Foundation is an entity on its own. So we need help. We need a lot of help in order to make sure that we establish scholarships for students. They excel in the learning of the Italian language, in getting Italian teachers to teach in the schools, in convincing schools to adopt the teaching of the Italian language. It takes a lot of work. I do what I can. I'm doing this. It's a double, it has double goal. The Italian language and bel canto. I started doing a documentary about Beniamino Gigli, who was one of the top 2 or 3 singers of bel canto, to me the most important. So I met the family of Beniamino Gigli. In fact, his grandson, Beniamino Gigli Jr., and I are good friends. I see him in Rome when I go there. We have a lot of fun. But we talk about his grandfather, we talk about technique. And I discovered that when he was little, he would go with Beniamino Gigli, the tenor, to practice in his big house in Recanati. And he would start vocalizing with the letter E. And the letter E is what my teacher, Giovanni Consiglio, had me vocalize with, starting with the letter E, which is the highest point of the voice. But if you don't know how to do it right, you can ruin the rest of it. Because while the letter A, the vowel, A opens the throat, the letter E is up there. And if you don't place it in connection with the idea of the opening of the throat in a natural way, then the E becomes throat oriented. It sounds terrible. If you push, you can screw up things. Same thing with the E. The E is a little bit like the E. The O is a beautiful, beautiful vowel. O, O, O. If it's done right, the O sound is marvelous. The A, E, I, O, U. All the words in Italian end with either one of these vowels. So we're going to talk about this a lot later. The breathing is very, very important. Without proper breathing, the breath goes all the way down into the diaphragm, deep, all the way down below the belly button, as far down as can be, and the support of the singing is from there up. There is like a column of air from down up that supports the voice, and the voice sits on the breath that comes out of the mouth through the vocal cords, through the throat, and comes out, caressing the palate. Okay? And Franco Corelli, who I was lucky to know and take a few lessons with him, told me that the singing happens through the upper palate against the upper teeth. You have to feel that the air goes out like that. And actually the people that listen to singing listen to your voice, but the voice materializes outside the body. It's like a miracle. It materializes outside the body. And there are the resonances inside these cavities, including the mouth and here, they help produce the resonance and the squillo of the voice. But the actual voice, of course, is outside the body. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing, because in talking to a doctor who specializes in throat, it was fascinating because when he sees patients, he emphasizes on the proper speaking and breathing in order to speak well, you had to speak supporting the words from the diaphragm, so you can speak forever. Some people, should not do that, but that's how it is. So it's a combination of making the body work for you without forcing anything in the body. The only thing that you have to force is actually is like an elastic sensation, the diaphragm going up and breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. And that supports the voice, and the voice goes out like a miracle. The vocal cords open and close based on what we sing. We cannot control the vocal cords. The voice comes out based on the words we pronounce. If it's the proper technique, the vocal cords open and close based on the breathing. So this is the idea of helping future generations of singers, speakers, public speakers to learn how to produce the voice, also to learn Italian. The language is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's very musical. It's a beautiful language. Objectively speaking, is not as business as the English. The English is the best for business. And for conversations, short conversations, you down to the point, English is the word. But for feelings, to express feelings and to express beauty, with all the respects for all the other languages, like Italian, the Romance languages are really meant for that. The English, yes, also is a beautiful language. But when you talk Italian, Spanish, French, there's something in that is different. Bel canto was born in Italy, and opera was born in Italy. So thanks to that, they were able to develop this technique that took centuries to do it. And now, because of commercial needs, that people have to learn quick and sing, and they have a short life in the theaters. Singers, few years and they're finished. Their voice out. Oh, that's terrible, the way they sound. They don't even know sometimes they sound like that. Now, my teacher sang for 50 years. At the end of his life, almost at the end, he sang as well as he sang 50 years before. Alfredo Kraus, he sang until he died. Lauri Volpi, Beniamino Gigli, he did not have a long life. He died in the 60s. He was less than 70 years old, but he sang until he died. Because the technique was perfect. They knew how to breathe, they knew how to produce the sound. I didn't say all these things in Italian because I assume that the Italians will know these things. But maybe I will do it later. So I gave a more detailed explanation of the purpose of this web page in English more than I did in Italian.